Let's get this straight. Most folks think HOAs are just a bunch of bored neighbors looking for power. But what if I told you some of them run things like it's their own little mafia? Yeah, I said it. And today, I'm about to walk you through how I ended up dragging the feds into a fight over a pond in the middle of Minnesota suburbia because one HOA president tried to shake me down on my own land. She had no clue what was coming. So picture this. It's early morning, the kind where the sun's barely cut through the mist hanging over Miller's Pond. 3 weeks into my so-called fresh start, a faded 1960s ranch house. 8 acres. And a pond I'd bought to get as far as possible from divorce papers and corporate email. I'm standing in the dewy grass, barefoot, and along comes Victoria, clipboard in hand, moving like she owns the place. She calls over the cop. She's dragged along Officer Walsh and points at me like I'm trespassing. On my own lawn. Now, maybe I'd have laughed if I wasn't so tired. Instead, I just held up my hands. Officer, this is my yard. That's my house with the new mailbox. See, name's right there. Walsh's eyes bounce between me and Victoria like he wishes he'd gotten called for a cat up a tree. Not a property standoff. Victoria flips her binder open, all neat and highlighted. The pond is a community amenity, managed by the HOA. She says it like she's reciting scripture. And something about her voice, it's too calm. I've heard it before. From people trying to sell me something I'm not buying. So I asked to see her paperwork. Old habits I used to investigate insurance fraud. Spent years sniffing out fakes. She flashes a tight smile. The kind you get from people who think they're smarter than everyone in the room. Walsh steps in. Folks, this sounds like a neighbor thing. Work it out. But I'm already headed for my box of closing papers. And that's when I see item the deed. This line, subject to existing easements and navigation rights established 1891. My closing attorney had called it boilerplate. Suddenly, it feels anything but. Back outside, I lay my deed next to Victoria's HOA covenants on the hood of her car. I point, see? Says here the pond is on my land. Victoria, cool as can be, says, your deed can say one thing. But control isn't always about lines on paper. You ever hear someone try to talk past the law? That's what she was doing. Acting like her rules trumped my deed. She keeps pointing at the HOA rules. And the officer looks ready to bolt. But that old fraud investigator sense is tingling. I ask, what does navigation rights established 1891 mean? Victoria brushes it off, just old language. Doesn't mean anything. But I can tell she's nervous now. After the cop leaves, it's just me and her staring each other down. Neither of us budging. She drives off in her BMW, leaving me wondering if I just bought myself a heap of trouble along with the pond. See, 3 weeks before, I'd finally closed on this place after 18 years working claims, watching folks fib their way out of disaster. My divorce was fresh. I wanted peace. Just enough money left to buy something nobody could take away from me. The real estate agent, Jenny, had said the neighborhood had an active HOA. I told her, I don't want any part of that. She got cagey, said the pond area was special. Should have been a red flag. For the first couple of weeks, it was everything I needed: coffee by the water, fishing in the evenings, nobody knocking on my door. Then, Saturday morning, I wake up to the sound of a boat motor. I look out, 2 guys in a fishing boat anchored right on my shoreline. I walk out, trying to be polite. Morning. This is private property. One of the guys, Pete, grins. You must be new. Pond's community fishing. Victoria handles the rules. $15 a month. Turns out, half the subdivision's been paying fees to fish my pond. I'm standing there in my pajamas, realizing I've bought into a mess. That night, I start digging easements, covenants, all the legal stuff folks love to ignore until it bites them. Monday, I call my closing attorney. His secretary says it'll cost me $200 an hour for him to research some old surveying language. No thanks. Tuesday, Victoria shows up at my door smiling. Folder under her arm. She lays out the rules. Tells me about maintenance fees, insurance, community benefit. She talks like it's all settled law. When I ask to see the books, she breezes right by it. Mentions the last owner, Jameson, who moved to Florida. There's something in her tone like she's hiding the real reason. After she leaves, I can't shake the feeling I'm missing something big. The next morning, she's back. This time casual, chatting like we're old friends. She pulls out photos before and after shots of the pond. Repairs. Fish stocking. Says they've put $8,000 into improvements. Then, she slides a photocopy of a supposed agreement signed by Jameson. Problem is, the signature page doesn't match the rest of the contract. Wrong timestamp. Different header. Looks like someone stapled a signature onto paperwork after the fact. Smells like fraud. I start asking around. My neighbor Roy, retired teacher, tells me Victoria keeps it fair, stocks the pond, keeps things tidy. Last guy who fought her made everyone miserable. They're at ice and spoken rule, go along or get isolated. But I can't let it go. That navigation rights line haunts me. Thursday, I'm at the county recorder's office digging through old surveys. Turns out, Miller's Pond was marked as public fishing water in 1891, and even in the 20s, it was stocked by the state. Later, private development lines are drawn right through it, but nothing says public rights were ever revoked. Friday, I put up a private property fishing by permission only sign. Phones start ringing, neighbors are upset. Roy calls. Sarah down the street says her kids are asking why they can't fish. The next morning, people ignore my sign. Fishing anyway. I walk out. Could you ask first? The look I get like I just kicked their dog. Suddenly, I'm the villain. Victoria calls. Now businesslike. Marcus, that's not how we do things. People feel unwelcome. She hints at a special assessment $300 a month for noncompliance. I can see where this is going. The same playbook she used on Jameson. He ended up selling at a loss and running to Florida. But here's where it flips. I dig into the old survey language. Call the state DNR. And the real twist drops: the pond is still public. Legally, the HOA can't charge for access. Not only that, but the pond connects to a creek that flows to the Mississippi federal jurisdiction. I call the Army Corps. They confirm any commercial activity needs a federal permit. Victoria doubles down, calls a vote to fine me. The community splits, scared about property values. The motion passes, but now I have federal backing. Next Saturday, the HOA tries to run another paid event at the pond. But this time, I've got federal signs, barriers, cameras, official authorization from the Army Corps. Families show up, and so does Victoria. Furious, she calls the cops. Sure, they'll back her up. Officer Walsh arrives, radios in, gets the federal order. Ma'am, this is a federal matter. We're done here. You ever see a dictator realize the crowd isn't following anymore? Victoria's face said it all. Just lost control. The community votes to stop all fees, return some money, and elect a new board. Victoria resigns on the spot. Her house goes up for sale, $5,000 below market, and she skips town. The funny thing? Property values don't tank, if anything. They go up. No more secret fees. No more bullying. People fish for free, pitch in for cleanups, and nobody worries about who's in charge. Turns out, all it took to break the spell was a little knowledge and the guts to ask hard questions. I ended up marrying the lawyer who helped me, Susan, the environmental attorney. We held the reception at Miller's Pond, with all the right permits this time, and I started teaching workshops, showing other homeowners how to stand up for themselves, read their deeds, and spot scams. The real lesson? Authority only works if folks take it on faith. Once the truth gets out, the whole thing collapses. That pond is still there. Families are still fishing, and nobody's paying a dime in fake fees. So what do you think? Was bringing in the feds too much? Or exactly what she deserved? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own HOA headaches. And let's see where the real lines should be drawn when it comes to justice, power, and standing your ground.